doing. But yes, probably, yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Hardware News Recap of the week. In this one, we talk about the 50 Super Series rumors. They're getting closer now. Cadence, which is a chip design software company, getting fined over $100 million for violating export control laws, which is going to be relevant pretty soon in some of our coverage. The U.S. government talking about breaking up NVIDIA and then basically immediately saying, just kidding, they're worth lots of money. And then also, Mage responds to our review of their pre-build. AMD has a new 9700F CPU coming out that Asus has leaked by accident. And there is a computer case that looks like a Founders Edition GPU, but it's a case. Let's get started. Before that, this video is brought to you by ID Cooling and the Frozen A720 cooler. The A720 air cooler performed well in our testing last year. The A720 is a relatively high-end, dual 140mm air cooler with 7 heat pipes. We found the use of larger fans can be beneficial to acoustic performance given the thermals, although you'll want to check your case for compatibility given the taller nature of the cooler and its fan. ID Cooling uses an all-black look for its A720 and includes mounting hardware for all modern sockets. Learn more at the link in the description below. All right, first up, pretty simple. The 50 Super Series rumors are getting increasingly real. It seems like also increasingly close. So there's been rumors of a 5080 Super, 5070 Ti Super, and 5070 Super for a while now. Basically, it's a memory increase on them. And one of the interesting things with the 5080 Super in particular is that back in January when the 5080 and 5090 were announced, MSI had a product announcement video where in the background, we pointed this out at the time, they had a 5080 box that said 24 gigabytes on it, which is not what the 5080 is, a 16. So that was really interesting to see that at that time where it was like, well, either it's a typo, which is weird, or maybe NVIDIA was going this direction and changed it to 16, or it's a future product, and it's starting to look like, in the very least, it will be a future product as a 5080 Super. So, Copite 7 Kimmy, a prominent hardware leaker, has previously tweeted about NVIDIA working on 5080 Super at 24 gigabytes of GDDR7, coupled with a greater than 400 watt TDP. Tweaktown, more recently, is now saying that it has sources that indicate multiple 50 Super cards are on the horizon and will launch later this year. The GPUs reportedly include the 5070 Super, the 5070 Ti Super, and the aforementioned 5080 Super. The publication claims, quote, the big takeaway is that there will be a massive 50% increase in VRAM capacity for all 50 Super Series GPUs. Only the RTX 5070 Super is expected to receive a minor increase in CUDA core count, end quote. Tweaktown also added that, quote, the increased memory will also be accompanied by an increase in power draw, indicating that the Super Series will ship with higher boost clock speeds than their non-Super counterparts, end quote. According to the publication, the 5080 Super will allegedly offer 24 gigabytes of GDDR7 and a 415 watt TGP, which would corroborate Copite 7 Kimmy's claim if true. Interestingly, Tweaktown noted that the 5070 Ti Super would also receive 24 gigabytes of GDDR7 memory. We're not sure if this is a typo. The publication adds that it will be a 350 watt TGP card. And finally, the 5070 Super will supposedly have 18 gigabytes of G7 and a 275 watt TGP. Just some of our own analysis here where covering the Super Series cards over the years, honestly, it really feels like every time NVIDIA launches the Super Series, it's almost like an apology. Like, I mean, not a good one, but it tends to follow really negative reception of GPUs for value, and seems to come with it this method of slightly bringing down the price on whatever it is succeeding while maintaining the price points, plus or minus a bit, for the new Super Series cards, with some exceptions. Like the 4080 Super, for example, dropped the price of the 4080 significantly. But as we commented at the time, it really felt like an intentional tactic where it was like, okay, we launched the one that freaks people out, $1,200. We bring it down to $1,000. Now everyone's like, okay, it's getting better. This is a step in the right direction. The problem is, it's kind of like the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, except the direction we're going is in the worst way. So, I don't know. Super Series always seems, at least to me, to bring with it this sort of like, let's attempt to reset some of the narrative and reception of these products. by slightly tweaking the value, and okay, we'll cave a little bit on the memory, and now everyone kind of shuts up for a little while. But we'll see. That's just how it's come across maybe since the 20 series. Now, initial speculation stated that NVIDIA would launch this next batch of Super Series GPUs at CES 2026, so that would be early January next year. But Tweaktown says that it'll be a holiday release for 2025. The memory bump would at least address some of those concerns. It's going to come down to pricing. If they bump the memory up, but the pricing also goes up, or even if it maintains in a lot of these situations, then it's not really an improvement. So we'll see when it comes out if all this proves to be true. It sounds like it'll be end of this year. Up next, Cadence is paying a big fine. So Reuters reporting that electronic computer-aided design company Cadence has pleaded guilty to, quote, conspiracy to commit export control violations, end quote, to a Chinese military university. The company will pay the U.S. government $140 million as a result. Now, we'll actually be talking about this and similar topics coming up in a big investigation we have pretty soon. So we spent several weeks in Asia for a story where we were able to gather a lot of exclusive information. It was pretty cool. There's kind of a limit to what I can say right now until we publish our trailers for it, which is coming up. But I guess what I can say is we were able to find several people who not only went on record, but went on camera with us to show us how some of this type of thing happened. So anyway, that'll be an exclusive video coming up from us pretty soon. Reuters elaborated that, quote, Cadence is accused of violating export controls by illegally selling chip design software and hardware to front companies representing China's National University of Defense Technology, end quote. According to the publication, the Justice Department believes that the university is, quote, involved in simulating nuclear explosions, end quote. The U.S. Commerce Department also reportedly says that the university supports, quote, nuclear explosive simulation and military simulation activities, end quote. Despite this debacle, Cadence said it was, quote, pleased, end quote, to reach a settlement with the